One of the founding principles of SESI's work is that the more actively engaged students are with their learning, the more likely they are to succeed. Students learn and retain more information and persist and succeed at higher levels when they are actively involved in learning rather than passively receiving information. For years, student focus group participants have said that active instructional approaches that encourage engaged learning, such as small group work and student-led activities, make them more enthusiastic about their classes and more likely to attend and participate. Furthermore, when students can apply what they are learning in the classroom to real-life settings, they are then able to integrate and extend the knowledge they are gaining through their coursework. Listen in as several students and faculty describe engaged learning experiences.
My favorite teaching moments is the point in the semester where it just begins to click for students. And so we spend a lot of time teaching them about communication theory and different things. And then there's a point in the semester where it regularly happens where students will come back in the classroom and they'll be like, oh my gosh, like I was out at this movie theater and I totally saw these people doing this and I thought about that theory that you were talking about in class. Or they'll say, I was watching this movie and I can't believe that this is related to it, but the person totally changed how they were communicating with one person and with another person. So I really like those moments when the stuff that you have kind of planted in them begins to bloom and you get to kind of see the results of the labor. I had a student tell me one specific instance that I ruined it for him. And I said, ruined what? He said, I will never be able to watch a movie in a normal way again because you made us analyze movies. And now I can see all of these different things that are happening with conflict strategies. And I can see what's happening with the nonverbals. And you totally ruined it. Now I'm analyzing every single movie that I watch.
I would have to say my best class was probably music therapy. We have a child care here at the college, and one of the assignments that we got to do, they broke us up in teams and gave us just different musical instruments, you know, bongos and shakers and maracas and different things like that. And we got to go over and perform for each one of the little daycare classes. Kids were from 6 months all the way up to like 4 or 5 years old, so we would each get a class and we'd have to do like, you know, Wheels on the Bus and different things, and we would get to shake the instruments and beat them against the floor, and the kids loved it and they danced around, and so that was really a cool experience.
We use a variety of high-impact teaching practices at our college, and in my discipline specifically, we do service learning. We have a capstone course experience. We have an e-portfolio, which is another one of the high-impact practices, collaborative learning. Our college has a first-year seminar. So we're really, really engaged in those kinds of practices. In terms of having speakers come to the class, you mentioned that every semester for my capstone students, so they're second-year students about to graduate, I bring in a transfer specialist from our college to make sure that they know where they're going. They have those resources. They do a quick graduation check to make sure they're all on task for that. I bring in a career specialist from our career services so they can talk to them about careers in the communication discipline and have them start to research some of the things that they might want to do with their careers down the road, and that leads to their final e-portfolio project. I also bring in a former student every semester. And that student maybe have already graduated for a year and working in the field, or perhaps just still at the four-year institution. And they come back and talk about, here's what happens, and here's what to expect, and here's all the exciting things that you have in store after you graduate from the college.
My math teacher, Ms. Faulkner, told us all that she wrote us a love note. And I was kind of shocked to start with, like a love note, and she said it's a syllabus. So when you go into Blackboard and you find a syllabus and print it out, and it reads like a love note, it does. It reads like she loves to teach and she loves for us to succeed. And it was pretty funny. And she also said that, you know, she was writing these numbers up on the board and asking to explain the numbers. And she wrote down the number 50. And she said, you know what this means? And I started, of course, to say it's not my age. I mean, you might be thinking that, but it's not. I didn't say that. She said, well, no one guessed, so I'm going to tell you it's the number of bad jokes I'm going to tell all semester, starting with this one, you know, and she told us a bad joke, and it was a bad joke. But, I mean, she's really made it interesting and fun. And I really believe that she's concerned about our graduation. She wants us to be there. And
we do job shadowing, we visit hospitals, we visit nursing homes, we visit jails, we visit so many other facilities that's going to help us decide what it is we want to do when we graduate. So I'm actually getting into hospice, and my volunteer hours are going to be starting shortly, so I can actually get more of a field of what I'm studying versus deciding, is this something that I want to do when I graduate?
One of my favorite teaching moments doesn't just happen inside the classroom, but happens outside the classroom. Like, for example, we'll have an assignment where the kids have to go out to a cultural experience with the deaf community, such as like deaf coffee, or they'll have to go for the School for the Deaf and meet other deaf students that are there on campus. And that opportunity to get to see my students communicating with those in the deaf community, even when they have limited sign language skills, watching them attempt to interact with others in the community, or going and seeing a deaf play.
The big step that I do is getting myself out into the community, and I'll be honest, I'm a little spoiled because I grew up in the agriculture industry, and so I already have a lot of connections with that world. And so branching out and just making contacts with some of those that are involved in the industry, asking them to maybe serve on an advisory board on our campus, going to them to see what they may need at their location, asking them to come in, be guest speakers, take groups of students out to them. We spend about 50% of our time for our lab-based classes out of the classroom. And the reason being is we're visiting with different agribusinesses to see what they need in their industry, or potentially opportunities that they have for students, potentially internship opportunities or career opportunities.
I'm confident because the group that we have in our class, we're a pretty good group, and we get together and we study. We study. And we have a really excellent teacher that makes sure that we know what we're doing, so we can learn just about anything and remember it.